Thank you for the kind introduction and for the jokes. You saved me, almost. Because I'm going to do a demo live. Oh no, yeah. Using internet connection. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, because I'm using ChatGPT, so I cannot run, unfortunately, ChatGPT on my laptop. I can try, almost, but I will fail for sure. So welcome everyone. My name is Enrico Zimuel. I work for Elastic. I'm principal software engineer, and I try to play with library open source, try to find nice use cases, and of course now it's the momentum of ChatGPT. Who is using ChatGPT? Please answer your hand. So almost everyone. Okay. I hope you are using for nice stuff, not for devil. Anyway. That's the summary. So what I'm going to show you is a very brief introduction to ChatGPT, what it is, how you can use it, especially for code generation, because I think that's very interesting topics. And I will show you an experiment that we did in Elastic to use ChatGPT to translate natural languages queries using into Elasticsearch DSL query. It's a kind of imagine that you can ask to Elasticsearch, please give me the first 10 documents of this date, blah, blah, blah. So it's very interesting. And I put all this together in a library in PHP, of course, so you can actually search in natural languages using this tool. Okay, so what is ChatGPT? It's a large language model, LLM, developed by OpenAI. It's basically a chatbot. So you can ask in natural languages, putting some question, and you will get some answer using a prompt. So you basically, we say that the prompt is the new code in the sense that you need to know how to prompt ChatGPT in order to get the answer. Sometimes you will notice that you have to retry, to rephrase, to put more information in the prompt because you have to teach basically the model what you want. It acts like an intelligent agent, but it is not. So please stop to call it artificial intelligence. This is not artificial. It's artificial, but definitely not intelligent. It's a model. So it's technically it's the combination of two models. It's the GPT, the generative pre-training transformer, and the reinforcement learning from human feedback. So the second step is basically hire a bunch of people, almost 400 people for 1 year, and asking to write question and answer to teach better the model. So the intelligence behind ChatGPT and this kind of model is basically human intelligence. The GPT-4, that's the last model available on by OpenAI. It costs more than 100 million to build the model. So it's a giant model, of course. And unfortunately, right now, no one knows about the internals of GPT-4. But there are some rumors, I just read this morning, that the CEO of OpenAI say that maybe he's going to release some open source version of ChatGPT because, the competition out there is so high. There are a lot of people shipping open source alternative of ChatGPT. Okay, let's start hopefully with a successful demo. So this is the general interface of ChatGPT, and let's ask, for instance, something related to PHP. So here I'm asking, write a PHP script to store data coming from an HTML form using POST. The data must be stored in a MySQL database using PDO, and the fields in the form are name, surname, and email address. So pretty simple stuff, right? But as you can see, I'm basically telling what to do to ChatGPT. So let's hopefully see if it's going to work. Of course, it's not. Let's try again. No, My internet connection is very unstable at the moment. Anyway, let's see recorded answer. I promise that this is not fake stuff, so I did it 5 minutes ago. So this is the output. As you can see, ChatGPT is able to provide complete PHP code. Again, pretty simple, using MySQLi, because in the sentence I say I want MySQL table. Was able to connect to going even not so straightforward. I mean, there are some conditions. They're checking for the error, checking if the query was okay, and I ask, okay, please modify the previous answer using PDO instead of MySQLi, because I prefer to use PDO, honestly. As you can see, it did a pretty good job. Even, I don't know if, are you familiar with this? Enabling exception on PDO. So this is not so straightforward. I mean, it's quite medium level code, right? Getting exception and so on. So, of course, there are stuff like close the database connection. It's okay, that's fine. But the point here is that ChatGPT is able to do this because they digest a lot of example. The training of ChatGPT was a lot of code base, GitHub, Stack Overflow. So that's why it's able to collect all this information, giving you giving you an answer that sounds reasonable. But if you are not familiar on the topics, you don't know if this is good code or bad code, right? Here, this is a PHP conference. Everyone can understand easily this piece of code and say, okay, it's pretty good. It can work. It can help you for starting, writing some stuff. But if you are not familiar with the topics, if you're asking something that you don't know and you want to know the answer from ChatGPT, this is very risky. Very, very risky, because ChatGPT can give you hallucination. This is the technical term, and can invent the response. That sounds good, but it's completely bullshit. Okay, so what I want to do is to actually focus on Elasticsearch DSL query. So this is basically a syntax, it's like SQL for relational databases for Elasticsearch. So we are going to use a search API. So as you know, Elasticsearch is a client-server application, expose a bunch of API that you can, call to get the response from Elasticsearch. And for instance, you can ask a query like this. So please give me query is the term for the searching. The matching is the condition. I want all my field with this string meaning. So please search for all the documents that contains this field with the sentence meaning. Or another example, more complex, for Elasticsearch is please give me the documents in your database that contains title, search, content, Elasticsearch, and filtering with the status publish and publish date greater than this date. So it's kind of conditional search. Can we express this query in natural language? Of course we can, right? So for instance, the previous can be something like search for all the title, matching search, and content matching Elasticsearch, filtering it out the documents that do not have status equal to publish and publish date, blah, 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 right? Okay, so let's go back. I hope I have yes, I have already done this, so I'm not going to click a button. So I just copy and paste the previous sentence in natural languages, and this is the output. As you can see, the output is, I can tell you, if you're not familiar, now I am the expert, right, in the topics. I can tell you that that's the right answer. But more interesting, ChatGPT gives also an explanation, some information about how they did this, why, As you can see, there are explanation here in this query. The bool query used to combine multiple conditions. The must clause specify the bot title, blah, blah, blah. So it describe the answer. It does not give you, the JSON that you have to use to search for Elasticsearch. I think this is very nice if you want to learn something, or even if you want to document. This is another topic that we are experimenting in Elastic. How to give an example in PHP, and please write the documentation for this piece of code. This is amazing because, as we know, as a developer, we hate to write, in human language. We prefer computer language, right? So this can be a very nice project to start experimenting. Use ChatGPT to write the documentation for your code. Anyway, that's maybe another talk for next year if they will invite me again. With a stable connection, please. Next time I want an internet cable here. So the idea, trying to combine this idea. The idea is, okay, I have ChatGPT, I give a human language sentence, they give me the query. Now I want to take this query and run this query to Elasticsearch, right? That's the idea. But of course, as you can start imagining, I cannot write a query without giving to ChatGPT the structure of the documents, right? I need to give, if you want to compare with the relational databases, the scribe of the table. I need to ChatGPT to say, look, this is the structure of the table, so please write a query according to this structure. That's the goal. In Elasticsearch, we have mapping. So mapping is the described table of a relational database. And we have an API that is able to give you the mapping. So please give me the mapping of this index. An index is like a table in Elasticsearch. So you have to specify the name of the index, and this API gives you the structure of the mapping. So if we combine these two tools, ChatGPT and the mapping, we can ask to ChatGPT, please use this mapping to provide the Elasticsearch DSL query. I can get back the Elasticsearch query and execute to Elasticsearch. So that is the process. So at the end, I want to implement a PHP function like a search, where the first parameter is the index name and the second is the sentence. Like, for instance, find the first 10 documents of the last month. That's my goal. As I mentioned earlier, we need to find the right prompt to give to ChatGPT in order to satisfy this requirement. And after a long of, iteration with ChatGPT, that is the sentence that I'm using right now in the code. Given the mapping delimited by triple backtips mapping, so you have to replace in mapping the response from Elasticsearch, so you will see all the JSON that contains the definition of the mapping. Translate the text delimited by triple quotes in a valid Elasticsearch DSL query. And inside the query, you have to put your human language sentence. Give me only the JSON code part of the answer, because as you saw earlier, the answer can also have description inside. I want just the JSON. And please compress the JSON output removing spaces, because, of course, this is a client-server communication. I want just the JSON compressed without space. So that is the code. It's the prompt. I tweet the prompt is the new code, because if we are going to use this kind of technology, maybe our future will be more to be an expert of how to prompt this kind of model. But it's almost like programming, right? I'm just describing what I want in a different format language that is not PHP, is more human-friendly, but still a language, right? It's more friendly, but if you are not competent in computer programming, maybe you cannot write this kind of stuff, because you have to separate the step, you have to have clear vision of what you want to do, right? So it's like a shift of paradigm. It's not like, okay, anyone can ask ChatGPT whatever he wants. No. We are very, very far from this point. So putting all together, that's the architect of what I did. So we have Elasticsearch, OpenAI, we have the query here, like give me the first 10 documents. I ask to OpenAI using the mapping. So before doing this, I have to call Elasticsearch and getting the mapping that I want to use. So the prompt finally is the one that I showed you in the previous slide. I get the DSL query. I use the DSL query with the index name to search in Elasticsearch, and I get the results. So that's the schema. It's 2 steps, basically. Of course, since you know, I want to do nice stuff, I say, okay, let's put some caching here, because each time you ask to OpenAI, you pay. It's not so expensive, to be honest, but you have to pay. So imagine that you want to ask 2 times the same question. Make no sense. If I already did the translation, if I already have in memory the DSL query, I can just reuse it, right? So what I did was just to put a little caching system here that is basically a file. So I store the translation in a file, and I get the sentence, so the prompt, I hash the prompt with MD5, for instance, and I put in a file. With the name of the file is the MD5. So if you give the same sentence and you have already in the cache, I don't call OpenAI. I get it from the file. And the same for Elasticsearch mapping. If I already ask for the mapping of an index, I can just store the index in a file, so it can be, you know, more performance. Demo will not work for sure. Let's try. Anyway, that's the repository. Sorry, let's go back. That's the repository where I publish the project. Elasticsearch ChatGPT PHP. Also put in packages, so you can check it out. It's very simple. Actually, it's 1 file. So if you want to see it, it's this one. So it's 1 class where I have, as you can see, the prompt. So actually, you can even change the prompt if you want. I have a couple of, you know, API. The most important is the search one, this one. So basically, we have 3 parameters: the index name, the prompt, and the cache. That by default is enabled. If you want to disable, you can put it false, because you change the mapping. You want to do invalidation, basically. Okay. So let's start with an example. So how to use this? So basically, this is an example. These are the lines that we are interested. Oh, maybe I can zoom a little bit. Can you see at the bottom? Okay. So basically, what I'm doing is, okay, I'm reusing the official Elasticsearch client in PHP that I'm maintaining, by the way. So I create an OpenAI. I'm using this library for OpenAI. There are a lot of libraries, but I found this very nice to use, very simple. OpenAI client. This is a community one. There is no official support from OpenAI. So I create this object, OpenAI, so the client, to communicate to ChatGPT. Of course, you need an API key, because it's by subscription. After I create the instance of Elasticsearch client, this is, again, the official one. Here I'm using Elastic Cloud, but you can use any instance of Elastic. So you have to give the endpoint, and in this case, the API key or the username and password, depending on your environment. And I create the instance of ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is the class that I wrote, passing you know, as a dependency these 2 objects. And after I can search. For instance, here I'm searching. I'm asking in the stocks. Stocks is an index that I create in my Elasticsearch instance. Very simple. It is a database of stock options of the 514 companies. So this is the structure. We have the date of the stocks, the open, the high, the low, the close, the volume, and the name of the stock. So imagine, one database with all this, information. So if we go back to the example, I'm asking to return the first 10 documents of 2017, right? So that is the query. So let's see if this is going to work. Yes, it's working because there is a cache. I'm safe. Yeah. So basically what I did was, if you can see in the cache folder, we have a stocks.json. So this is the response from Elasticsearch about the mapping. And this is actually the query. So please give me the 10 documents that I show you earlier. And this is the answer. Of course, it's just, in this case, very naive example. So it is result as array. By the way, I'm using PSR7 here, so the request and response are PSR7 compliant. And one nice stuff is that you can actually get the last query, and this was the query, basically. So the range, about the date, about the sites. As you can see, we have sites 10 here, so the last 10 documents. Anyway, I put more example here in the example folder, like for instance, return the documents that have the difference between close and open fields greater than 20. So you can start playing, doing very even crazy stuff. It's quite, ChatGPT is quite performant, is able to translate complex sentences into Elasticsearch DSL query. Yeah, I think it's interesting idea. I want to focus your attention on the fact that, again, ChatGPT is not the final answer to everything. It's just a very early project, very experimental, and this is actually a sentence from the CEO of OpenAI that say ChatGPT is incredible, limited, but good enough at some things to create a misleading impression of greatness. So as you can see, even the CEO of the company that invent ChatGPT wants to alert everyone that this is an early technology. It's very, very promising, very, very interesting, but still very early. If you're interested in knowing more from a developer perspective, so how to use these tools from a developer perspective, I strongly suggest to have this course. It's very, very short course. It's about 1 hour, but it's by OpenAI and deeplearning.ai, so two very famous, OpenAI, of course, the one that invented the ChatGPT, and Deep Learning is a company that teach, machine learning stuff. Very, very competent company. So I strongly encourage you to have a look. I put also some references. The first one is I wrote an entire blog post about this experiment that we did. So if you are interested, you can check it out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Enrico. How do you feel? Good? Are you going to do a live demo again in the near future?
Yes, actually tomorrow.
Oh, okay. You've got something to look forward to.
I need to figure out to work on my machine. So no,
It
no trust,
well.
Zero trust, right? It's a new trend, zero trust.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions? We've got a few minutes. Any questions? There you go. I'm just gonna go for another mic.
Thank you. Great talk.
Thank you.
Questions. The prompt that you created, is that specific to your account? So like if I use that prompt with my
Yes, it's a private one. You cannot
one.
share. This is actually, there is a story behind. You touch a very, especially in Italy, the privacy about the communication between you and ChatGPT. I don't know if you noticed, but last month, 1 month ago, ChatGPT was forbidden in Italy. So the authority in Italy, the government say, look, this is too dangerous. We don't know what kind of data are you using. the exchange between me and the machine, this kind of information, where are stored, blah, blah, blah. They started to fix this, saying, okay, are the data we store for 1 month. After 1 month, the data are destroyed, so the history, as you can see. But it's one-on-one, so it's my account, my OpenAPI key, and the ChatGPT. So you cannot share actually prompt with others, if this was the question.
Yeah, I think that was. And how can you guarantee the prompt response format won't change? Like if ChatGPT updates, you know, yes, you ask.
That's a very good answer. We have any evidence so far. Again, it's very early. But one thing that I didn't mention is when you ask to ChatGPT, you can set a parameter that is temperature. This is very interesting. So if you put temperature to 0, means that you want the same answer with the same question to ChatGPT. If you put a number greater than 0, let's say 0.5, you will notice that the answer will change a little bit. This is for creative stuff. If you want to ask, please write a novel about cyberpunk, blah, 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 and you put 0 as a temperature, you will get the same story. If you change the value of the temperature, you will notice some change in the history, so it's interesting. For this kind of activities, of course, temperature must be 0, for obvious reason, right? But generally speaking, it's interesting if you want to do more creative stuff. But
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, there is one. Run, Julia, run.
Okay, great talk, first of all. But
thank you.
I have a question about getting the feedback from ChatGPT, because how you can be sure that it will prompt a valid response, I mean, a valid request, because as you said, the tool is great to making stuff believable, not sure 100%.
Yeah.
And how can you handle it if you implement this kind of loop you showed us,
Yeah.
runtime?
There is no way. This model does not guarantee that the answer, there is no meaning. It's just a statistical probability answer. That means the answer is generated by a statistical machine learning algorithm that give you the answer according to the probability of the next word that is called a token, technically, inside a sentence, giving a lot of example. If you want to compare to understand how the internal of ChatGPT works, imagine when you start learning a new language without giving any course. So you go to a new country, they spoke a different language, you start to listen the language around, start to play to understand, okay, means good morning. I give my example. When I moved to Netherlands a long time ago, I just have a very little knowledge of English, and that's it. That was my culture about language. When I moved to Netherlands, I started to hear stuff, and I was able to give a minimum conversation when I enter in a shop. This kind of feeling is what ChatGPT is doing, collecting sentences and try to filling the gap between the words. That's the idea, mostly the idea behind ChatGPT. So it sounds reasonable, but you have no evidence about it. That say, they are working, actually there are a lot of plugins. For instance, if you ask some mathematical stuff, right, to ChatGPT, there are a lot of examples. 2 plus 2 equals 5. Maybe that's not the right answer, because ChatGPT has no idea about this, because there are a lot of jokes about numbers. That's the truth. So they say, okay, look, we can write a plugin to ChatGPT using Wolfram Mathematica, for instance. This is a famous service, mathematical service, to check if the topics is about mathematics. Let's try to ask to Wolfram if the answer is correct or not. You know, they try to put some logic to model, you know, validation, model checking. But again, this is very
So
early stage.
if someone would actually try to play and implement this in a real project, would be better build time.
Please, big advice. Do not use this in production.
Yeah, but
No. Repeat with me.
no, but
Do not use in production.
I get it, but
Yeah.
but for example, build time implementation, which outputs the query and then you can review it manually, obviously,
Yes.
could be an interesting tool.
Yes, absolutely. That's
Okay.
the main goal why I wrote this. I'm not so good in Elasticsearch DSL query, so I say, okay, look, can you help me try to understand? And again, by the way, for the documentation, this kind of stuff is amazing. Imagine just to write a couple of sentences in ChatGPT. Please give me an example of filtering an index with data, even SQL. You can try the same. If you want, you can port this project to SQL. Work exactly the same. And if you wrote some SQL with inner join, left, right, can be very, very complicated, right?
Yeah.
Maybe this tool can help this way.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
Yeah. Well.